Hi everyone, welcome to room133.net and our first video lesson. This is about the distributive property. So if you're having trouble with your homework, I hope this is helpful. The distributive property is a great trick. It's not really a trick, it's just a tool. It just makes multiplication of larger numbers easier. Up till now you've been asked to memorize your multiplication table, so you probably know up to things like 10 times 10. Some of you may know up to 12 times 12. But what if we get into something times 13 or something times 15? The distributive property can help us multiply those bigger numbers in our head. All right? But before we get to that point, let's take a trip way back to, let's say, I don't know, first grade or second grade. Do you remember these blocks and rods? So this is, the yellow rod is a group of 10. These cubes are ones, so that's 6 ones and a 10. That would represent the number, you guessed it, 16. Okay, so the reason I'm showing you this is because I'm going to ask you the multiplication problem 3 times 16. Most folks, if I ask you that, they're going to reach for a pen or a pencil and try and solve this problem. Some folks are going to do this. They're going to say 18. Oh, I'm sorry, that's 16. 16 plus 16 plus 16. That's how they're going to multiply. So let's go ahead and do it. 6 plus 6 is 12. Another 6 makes 18. That's 3 times 6 is 18. I'm going to carry the 1. And now I have 10, 10, 10, or 3 tens is 30, plus the 1 I carried is 40. So that's 48. Other folks are going to be more comfortable with multiplying. They're going to do 16 times 3. And they're going to say 3 groups of 6 is 18 and carry the 1, just like I did over here. And then they're going to say 3 groups of 10 is 30, just like I did over here. Plus 1 makes 48. So there we go, 3 times 16. Easy enough, right? Sure. But what if you could do it in your head, just as quick as other multiplication facts? Here come the rods, right? I'm showing you this visually. This is 3 groups of 16, right? So here's one group of 16, here's another group of 16, here's another group of 16. And we're going to find out what happens if we multiply them. Right? We're going to, in order to do this, we're going to just take these rods and we're going to rearrange them. We're going to group all the 10 rods and all the 1 cubes together. Now, before we go on, I want you to think about this. Do I have the same number of cubes on the screen as I did before? Is this still 3 times 16? Well, let's take a look. I still have my 3 groups of 10. Right? They're right here. 1 group of 10, 2 groups of 10, 3 groups of 10. And I still have my 3 groups of 6. They're right here. 1, 2, 3 groups of 6. So all I would need to do to get the total number of cubes is just add them all up. I still have 3 10s and 3 6s. Now I just need to add them up. And of course, what would I get? Well, I can find out a lot easier now because I know these multiplication facts. See, what I did is I made these simpler. 3 times 10, I know. 3 times 6, I totally know that. So this should be easier for us to solve than this 3 times 16. We've got 30 plus 18, and of course that makes our 48. Okay? So remember, this 3 times 16 is the same as this. It's the same as 3 times 10 plus 3 times 6. What I did is I took the 16 and I broke them into 10s and 6s. Pretty easy, because those are facts that we all know. Okay, so these are the same. It's important to remember that 3 times 16 is the same as 3 times 10 plus 3 times 6. It's breaking apart the big number, the 16. Okay? So, this is called the distributive property of multiplication over addition. Now I'm going to do some other examples here. let's say we have, let's just try it with a different one, right? And I'll show you what it looks like on paper without the cubes, right? This is what you'll have to do on your homework. Let's take 4 times, I don't know, 16. Well, we just did 16. Let's try times 4 times 13, something just off the multiplication table. Okay, remember your trick is you don't know these multiplication facts, so we're going to break 13 into smaller pieces that we do know. 10 is an easy multiplication fact, plus 3. That's another row or column that you probably know. So now I need to use my other number. I have 4 groups of 10 plus 4 groups of 3. And we use parentheses to kind of keep these separate, right? Now, 2 separate problems inside one big math problem. So, but they're both easy to solve, right? So 4 times 10, of course, you know, is 40. And 4 times 3, you know, is 12. And adding them is pretty simple. The ones place is 0 plus 2. And the tens place is 4 plus 1. 52. There. That's what 4 times 13 is. Right? Let's try another one. Let's do it. Let's get crazy. Let's do something with a big number in it. Let's try 5 times 26. Right? So we know our 5, so let's leave that alone. It's our 26s that we're concerned about, right? So let's break our 26 into easy numbers. We're going to try break it into 20 plus 6, right? So 5 is our other factor. So we're going to say I have 5 groups of 20. I'll put parentheses around there. Plus 5 groups of 6. Oops. Let me back up. All right, 5 groups of 20 plus 5 groups of 6. Sorry, it's a little sloppy. 5 times 6 is easy. We're going to call that 30. But some people might get hung up on this 5 times 20. Well, remember, and this is something you may know, when you multiply a number that ends in a 0, you can just multiply the front end. So 5 times 2 is 10. And we have an extra 0 here, an extra place value. So we'll just put that there on the end. So 100 plus 30. 5 times 26 is 130. Right? If you don't believe me, you can just try it the old-fashioned way with a paper and pencil. But the idea here is that you'll be able to do this in your head. 2 times 5 is 10, plus 3, 13, 130. I know people are going to say, well, that's much faster. It won't be after you've practiced, though. So we're going to try and practice doing these in our heads. 5 times 2 is 10, so 5 times 20 is 100. You can think that in your head. And 5 times 6, you already know that in your head. 100 plus 30, easy peasy. All right, so give it a shot. And bring in your homework, and we'll talk about it tomorrow in class.